Can South Africa afford 1 million rand a year for every citizen? Wait till the end of this video to find out. Before I continue, if you have not subscribed to our channel, subscribe now and don't forget to put on the notification and smash this video if you like it. So let's get started. First of all, watch this video.
Almost 100 million people in South Africa. Okay, so what is the GDP of South Africa? It's more than billions of rands. I'm saying if this government, if these people of South Africa come together, this country can afford to give each and every South African 1 million rand a year for the rest of their lives. We are so rich.
South Africa can pay South Africans 1 million every year for the rest of their lives. Let's say the average life expectancy in South Africa is 70 years. South Africa can pay 70 million to each person in this country to sustain themselves for the rest of their lives.
So, before you can understand what it meant, let us first of all start with what GDP means. The meaning of GDP is gross domestic product. Before we continue, I'm going to be taking you back a little to understand some principle of economics. Now, GDP is the total monetary value of all goods and services produced within a country in 1 year. It is a scoreboard for economic activities, not a bank balance. It is just a monetary value attributed to total amount of goods and services produced in a particular good. It can be a factory output, as you can see on my screen. It can be something that is belonging to a worker, maybe a profit or a shareholder. It could be a government that is collecting a tax. You get the point. So just like a monetary value that is attached to the value of goods and services produced within a country in a year. So the key misunderstanding of what the leader of Match and Match, in South Africa, the GDP is huge, but does not mean that the government has the money sitting in a bank or sitting somewhere that they can just go into and withdraw and use it for the economy. GDP is what an entire economy produces in a year. Mines, farms, bank, factories, shops, and every worker combined. Government revenue, what it can actually spend, comes only from taxing a portion of the activities. So, let's continue. If you look at South Africa itself, the GDP of South Africa as of 2025, this data is from Statista, so you can confirm it, is $418 billion. That's as of 2025. Why in South African local currency, which is rand, is 7.6 trillion rand. Okay, let's continue. And based on what the leader of the Match and Match said, he said that about 100 million people in South Africa, but the actual population is 63.1 million. This is based on 2025 population estimates. And this data is also gotten from Worldmeter. So let's continue. And from his quote, I paraphrase this from his quote: South Africa is so rich, the GDP is huge, we can afford to pay every citizen 1 million rand a year for life. That was his claim. And let's actually run the numbers now. Let's run the numbers. Let's see. So running the numbers, 63.1 million people times 1 million rands a year, that's approximately 63.1 trillion per year, which is about 8.3x of the annual GDP of South Africa. That's huge, and that's about 31x of the actual amount collected in tax, which is like the real amount, that is the revenue generated by the government. So that's a huge, which means that even if the GDP of South Africa is money sitting in a bank that the government can go ahead and withdraw, the money is still not enough to pay the South Africans for the rest of their life. However, that is not where we are going to. Just wait. So the question now is, what is the big takeaway to understand in this video? From his claims, he thinks that the GDP is money sitting in the bank that the government can just go into and withdraw. If that is the case, I think all country right now should be rich, because Nigerian government can go into the GDP and withdraw. Ghanaian government can go to GDP and withdraw. Even the USA government or the Canadian government can go into the GDP bank and just withdraw. But GDP is just a monetary value that is attached to total amount of goods and services produced in a country. It is not a huge sum of money sitting in a bank. So the big takeaway, big numbers need real math, not just a big sounding words. GDP measures everything in an economy produced in a year. It is not just cash sitting in government's account. Paying every citizen 1 million rand will cost 63.1 trillion, more than 8x of South African entire GDP. It's over 30x of what the government actually collects, that is the South African government collects, the tax revenue, the money the government can actually spend. A promise this sees isn't just ambiguous. It's mathematically impossible without or within the real economy on earth, because it's not just possible to get the money. So I think you understand a little thing about these particular claims, and don't forget to subscribe for more economic analysis like this. Thank you.